you doing that.
I would be happy to. Several weeks ago, a couple of groups of students that I teach, one in nutrition and one in pathology, we were talking about how to stay healthy, and so I presented them with a question: what are some of the qualities of life that are important? So they obviously said, well, you need to eat, you need nutrition, you need air, so you have to breathe, you need water, so you drink. They like to look beautiful, so they want to anti-age, and they want to reduce stress, so they exercise. So I said, okay, those are 5 good qualities of life, but they're also 5 excellent sources of toxins. So I said, let's talk about toxins, and that's what we're going to do today. $50 years ago, 60 years ago, a woman could get all the nutrition she needed in terms of folic acid and vitamin A by eating 2 peaches a day. Today, a woman who's pregnant would have to eat a bushel, 53 of the same peach, to get the same nutrition. So in 60, 65 years, the nutrition has fallen tremendously. And it used to be that farms were owned by individuals, and 60 years ago, almost 100% of them were. Today, 98% of the farms are owned by 2 companies, so it's corporate farming. And their idea of farming is to get crops out as quickly as possible, so that means they have to be harvested when they're not nutritious so that they can get the most profit. So one of my nutrition students sent me this picture on the right. If your food can go bad, it's good for you. If your food can't go bad, it's not good for you. In other words, as I taught them, if a bug won't eat it, you shouldn't eat it either, because bugs go to wherever there's good nutrition. If you want to try that, take a stick of margarine and plant it in the ground halfway down and come back a week later. You will not see a single bug that ever touched it because there's no nutrition in margarine. Second quality is breathing. So we want pure air if we can get it. And you can see that the 2 top pictures are definitely from major cities. And the one in the lower right-hand corner is a picture taken from Mulholland Drive in Los Angeles looking at Center City. And this is from very near where I grew up. So you can see the smog that's cast over Los Angeles, and it's relatively clear as you get closer to the ocean. And this was something that I saw every day. We put between 200 and 400 billion tons of pollution in the air each year. Most of those, if not all of those compounds, weren't even invented before 1940. So even when you try and breathe good air, you're getting all of this junk that industry is putting into our atmosphere. Plus, when you're in your house and you have new carpets, there are 37 chemicals just in carpets alone that end up in the air of your house. So even your house isn't safe. So one of the ways to get lots of pollutants, lots of toxins, is through normal breathing. The 4th quality they gave me was drinking pure water. And the culvert at the left is not exactly what I would call pure water, but that's very frequently where water comes from that goes into a municipal water supply. And the water from the child that's drinking out of that glass comes from someplace in the United States where that's municipal city water that's coming out. Now, if you remember, sometime back, Tim Sales gave us a lecture on the water cycle. Everything that's in the atmosphere ultimately ends up in our aquifers, our underground water supply, and that's where the water we drink, we cook with, we bathe in, comes from. And the municipal water supply companies in the United States only basically take out the large particles so you can't see them, dump chlorine and fluoride in there, And the pharmaceuticals, the jet fuel, which Kansas City, I think, adds just for good taste, that never gets removed. And bottled water, for instance, is 40% of all the bottled water comes from tap water. So you're getting all those wonderful things, including bacteria, in the water that we drink. And, of course, those toxins affect our health. For those of you that like to anti-age and want to look beautiful before you go to work or go to school or go to the grocery store, the average woman puts on about 350 chemicals every morning out of the shower, from blush, eyeliner, deodorant. Some of the ingredients, as a matter of fact, are so toxic to the body, yet the FDA considers them generally regarded as safe. They're now known to cause breast cancer, and that's several of the ingredients that are in our normal deodorants. So as the skin is our largest organ, whatever you put on the skin, from perfume or blush or deodorant or soap, it ends up being absorbed into the body, and most of it is made with toxins. Look at some of your beauty products. Look at your deodorants. See if there's parabens in them, or something that says PEG. It stands for propyl ethoxylated glycerol. It's antifreeze. Why you would want to put antifreeze on your skin? First of all, it's an irritant, and second, it's a poison. I don't know, but a lot of the beauty products all contain PEG. So that gets absorbed into the skin and consequently into our bodies. When you exercise to reduce stress, you're drinking water, you're breathing air, and even just normal exercise produces what are called free radicals that actually cause disease. The picture on the right is the beach that I grew up on in Los Angeles. And because the sea breezes would blow all of the stuff in the atmosphere into the center part of the city, all summer long when everybody else was under a smog alert, we had relatively clean air. But we all knew that baby sharks used to come to our surfing beach because the sewage plant dumped tons and tons of sewage about 2 miles up the ocean from us, and we would ultimately get it. So even just trying to exercise and stay healthy, you end up with toxins. This is an MR scan, an MRI, of a obese person. And I want you to notice that everything that's red, that's muscle. Everything that's yellow is fat. Why is fat important? Because toxins end up being absorbed into fat, and you store them for years. So pharmaceuticals that you take, stuff that you put on your skin, things that you drink, things that you breathe, ultimately end up being stored in fat. The more fat you have, the more toxins you have. And of course, detoxing becomes very, very important. Now, we've talked about detox. When I was growing up in California, our motto was better living through modern chemistry. And that was because I went to the University of California. But if someone said, I'm going to detox, I would have thought they were going to be hospitalized to get off of a drug. But detoxing now means something totally different. So there are two terms that are very important. One is cleansing, and one is detox. Okay, so I want to explain what that is because I'm going to talk about the best ways to do it. A detox basically just focuses solely on eliminating toxins like heavy metals, chemicals found in cleaning products, cigarette smoke from the body, sometimes specific organs and the bloodstream. A cleanse focuses mainly on clearing out and cleaning up the digestive tract from top to bottom, which eliminates toxic compacted fecal matter from the bowels, parasites, fungus like Candida, and some heavy metals. But the detox is obviously a lot more intense because you're going to be removing it from fat So when we detox, is it just from the digestive system, or do we get it from the cellular level? Well, it happens to both. Mainly the digestive tract, you can eliminate toxins from there very quickly, and then you can't absorb it. But again, when you're as old as I am, I have been absorbing toxins for many, many years, so just removing them from my GI system doesn't really help me get rid of those toxins. I have a friend who is a government contractor on missiles. He lives in Alabama. He spent 5 years in Afghanistan and Iraq, and when he came back, he was extremely toxic, partly because of the water that they drank, partly because of the chemicals that they were exposed to in a war zone, but he came back terribly, terribly ill. So I started him on a detox, and we will talk about which one I use. And he was able to feel tremendously better. But then he asked me a very good question. Do I have to detox all the time? Can I just do it a couple times a year? And I said, no, you don't have to use the product that I recommend, which, by the way, is RestoreX. You don't have to use it every day, as long as you don't do 5 things. And he says, what are those 5 things? And I said, you can't eat, you can't breathe, you can't drink water, you can't look beautiful, and you can't exercise. If you do any of those, you need a detox every day because you're putting toxins into your body. So I hope that answers the question of, do you detox periodically or do you detox every day? As long as you're being exposed every day, you need to remove those toxins, especially when they get put into fat. This is the liver, and this liver is filled with fat. So the idea of detoxing is so we can live longer. I have a saying that I tell my students all the time. I want to die young at an old age. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get disabled. I don't want to get debilitated. So I have changed my lifestyle. My father died at 53 years of age of a heart attack. My grandfather, his father, died at 50 years of age of a heart attack. And my great-grandfather died at 47 of a heart attack. So do you think when I reached 50 or 53, I wanted to get out of bed? I didn't. But I changed my lifestyle. I ate better. I drank pure water. I tried to detox as best I could. I ate fruits and vegetables. I supplemented my system because the nutrition was getting poorer. And now I have lived 12 years longer than my father, obviously longer than my grandfather and great-grandfather, and I basically have no heart disease. So you can change it. So this anti-aging movement that we baby boomers are doing, we're trying to live longer. So this slide, the statistics come from the National Center for Health Statistics, and some of it comes from the San Francisco Federal Reserve Bank. But look at this. Life expectancy in the United States in 1950 was 65. Today, the life expectancy is more than 77 years, which is pretty phenomenal when you think about it. As a matter of fact, right now, the World Health Organization feels that our kids will die before we do. We're going to be the first generation in the history of man that will outlive our children because of lifestyle. If this trend continues in 2030, men who reach the age of 65 are expected to live about 17 years longer and spend nearly a quarter of their lives in retirement. So that's pretty phenomenal considering that I still remember hearing about my grandparents or my parents cooking things in lard. I don't think anybody would ever consider using lard anymore now that we know what the health risks are. These two women are approximately the same age. They're in their 70s. Obviously, the one on the left is not living the kind of life that she would like, and the one on the right is obviously doing the right things because she looks considerably younger. So we can live longer, but unfortunately, we can live less healthy. unless we change things around. So, as a physician, I will tell you, we don't die of the same diseases we did 100 years ago. 100 years ago, we died of polio, malaria, tuberculosis. I still remember hearing stories about all of the iron lungs that were in the hospitals in Kansas City when I was only a couple years of age. I also remember being in an experimental test group that received the polio vaccine back in the middle 50s. So polio, there hasn't been a single case in the United States in years. We have different diseases now. We're dying of diseases of society, not so much of the infectious diseases like polio, malaria, and TB. Medicine basically eliminated a lot of the diseases that we died from, but we're getting different diseases now. Medicine used the optical electron to discover how infectious disease actually worked, and we created medicines for it. I remember training in graduate school on one of the first electron microscopes in the United States. It was phenomenal to be able to see things that we had never seen before. Today, people die of degenerative diseases. Cancer is a degenerative disease, heart disease, Alzheimer's, arthritis. These are all diseases of inflammation, and it's because of lifestyle. So degenerative disease occurs inside the cells, and it wasn't until the invention of the electron microscope that we were able to discover what caused some of these degenerative diseases. But it's still going to take some time before the public becomes aware of the solutions, partly because of the drug companies, partly because of our own FDA. A lot of the research is coming out of Europe, where they're less stringent, and they use protocols for health that have good nutrition in them. So why do we age? Why do we get sick? Why do we get diseases? I taught my students just last week that our cells are programmed for us to live 120 years in good health, relatively good health. Abraham went ahead and fathered a child at 100 years of age. Moses lived a long time. All of our biblical figures, for the most part, lived a long time, and that's because nutrition was better, pollution was considerably less. We ate our way to good health. But it all starts at the cellular level. Now, allopathic physicians, of which I am one, and osteopathic physicians, the DOs, are basically trained that you cure disease by giving medicines. Other physicians, like chiropractors and naturopaths, feel that if you treat the cell and have a healthy cell, then you have a healthy tissue. Healthy tissues give you healthy organs. Healthy organs give you healthy organ systems. Healthy organ systems give you a healthy organism, and in this case, that's us. So if you give proper nutrition to the cell to make the cell healthy, you can make the body healthy. Another way to look at it is, if you owned a Jaguar and it needed to be repaired, you certainly wouldn't take it to a Yugo store and get Yugo parts for a Jaguar. So why are you putting non-nutritious food into your body if it's not going to help your cells? You know, we're the richest country in the world, yet we all suffer malnutrition. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, well, I go to the mall and I look at all those fat people. They certainly don't look malnourished, but they are. They have the wrong kind of nutrients that they were eating, which cause them to be overweight or obese, and they don't have the kinds of nutrients that we need to keep the cells healthy, to keep them toxin-free. Because there are certain things that we eat that are called antioxidants, and these antioxidants help reverse disease. They fix free radical damage so that our cells are healthy. And when our cells are healthy, we have healthy atoms in our cells, we get rid of the free radicals, we use the antioxidants, and our bodies are healthy, okay? So, boils down to this little part of the cell. This is called the mitochondrion, okay? We have hundreds of trillions of these. They're not really organisms, they're organelles. They're part of our cells. So that's where all our energy is produced. Well, if we don't have the right nutrients, we can't make the energy currency of the body, which is a chemical called ATP. Our brains require it, our hearts require it, our whole body requires it, every single cell. It's just like these mitochondria are little fireplaces where food is, or fuel is burned to give energy, okay? So the first step is to get rid of these antioxidants, free radicals. So the first thing we do is we detox. So a number of years ago, a scientist, a physician, he's an MD, PhD like me, who works out in Europe primarily, but 3 months out of the year he's in Seattle, Washington. He developed a protocol using some very good nutrient substances. And what he found was that he could go ahead and take care of a number of diseases, and people would get better. They would feel better. They would be energized. They would be rejuvenated. One of the hallmarks of what he used was some plant cells that produce chlorophyllin and an algae that we use a substance called chlorella. Well, RX has that detox protocol in a bottle. We call it RestoreX. It's a combination of a volcanic mineral called zeolite, charcoal, and nutrient-dense superfoods that help attract and remove free radicals. And when you remove the free radicals and unwanted substances, the body gets better. So that's the first step. You want to make sure that what you're putting in your mouth does not have things that cause free radicals, okay? So I'll let you see the steps. So if you eat right, you're going to go ahead and fight those free radicals. But let's talk about what it means to eat right. I tell my students that our bodies are based on a formula. What we put into our bodies minus what our bodies actually need either gives us a surplus of nutrients or a deficit of nutrients. And in almost every one of us, including obese people, it's a deficit because I'm talking about nutrients that will protect our bodies. So it used to be that we could just go ahead and eat something like this and do well. But we can't do it anymore, so we need to supplement. So another good supplement that we use is Rejuvenex. And Rejuvenex, as you know, is an invigorating, energy-boosting blend of superfruit extracts and antioxidants. So you have antioxidants to fight free radical damage, and you have a very dense nutrient benefit to the body that we no longer get in our food supply. One of the things that I do when I talk about vitamins and minerals with my nutrition students is I challenge them to bring in their favorite pill. And then I tell them, we're going to simulate what's in the stomach, and we're going to see, does your pill actually dissolve? And they laugh at me, and a couple of weeks later they bring their stuff in. We do vitamins, and I set it up, and then I start lecturing. At the end of the 2 hours, my vitamin has always dissolved, and theirs are still sitting in the bottom of the jars, and they can't believe it. I once gave this same lecture to a group of people at one of the national parks, and a ranger in the back raised his hand and said, not only was I correct about when these pills go into your body, they come out exactly the same, but the names of those vitamins are still on there. So we don't absorb anything from that. So if you're trying to supplement your nutrition and you use the wrong product, you're wasting your time. Now, these free radicals also attack blood vessels. So that's where we get plaque formation and arterial disease and heart disease, okay? Again, if we go ahead and take care of the single cell, then the single cell and all the single cells, and we have about 600 trillion of them, will respond, okay? So we can remove free radicals from the cells, and the cells can stay healthy, and consequently we stay healthy. This is an autopsy specimen. This is a liver. The only normal part is maybe this segment right over here. Everything else is infiltrated with fat and toxins and a cancer, all caused by free radical damage, okay? So, why can't we eat right? Well, in the last 72 hours of ripening, that's when the nutrients are brought out of the soil and put into our plants, and consequently into the fruits. I don't know why my mother did this when I was a kid, but in California, she used to raise tomatoes, and when they got big enough, she would pick them when they were green and then put them in the window to ripen them. We've all done it. But there's no nutrition in there, because the nutrition that actually causes them to turn red occurs in the last 3 days of ripening, the last 72 hours. As a matter of fact, in Kansas, where I live, we get most of our fruits and vegetables from California during the wintertime. So they pick them when they're green, not ripe, no nutrients, and when they get to the Colorado-Kansas border, they bomb them with a gas called ethylene that turns green bananas yellow and green tomatoes red. Those that are still green by the time they reach Kansas City get bombed again in the back of the grocery store. You can, if you don't believe me, go ask the produce manager at your favorite market, and he'll tell you the same thing. Again, there's no nutrition. So we can't eat right when we're not getting the right stuff. Plus, what do we put on our plants? We put fertilizers. If we use manure and it's not organic, there could be antibiotics in there and bacteria, because the bacteria become resistant to the antibiotics. Or we can have pollutants, pesticides. Again, they get sucked up by the plants. We eat the plants, and bingo, we get it stored in our bodies. The Environmental Working Group several years ago produced a list called the Dirty Dozen of fruits and vegetables that were the worst offenders for conventional fruits. Apples are at the top of the list, one of my favorite fruits. Yet I will not buy a conventional apple. I'll only buy organic apples because it may not have the same nutrition as it used to have, but at least it won't have the pesticides, because apple skins pick up pesticides like a magnet. So we can't eat right. We have to read every label, okay? Now, another reason we can't eat right is that corporate farming just puts potassium, nitrogen, and phosphorus into the soil, and the other minerals have been depleted for the last 100 years. And you can look here by continent. North America, the CDC did a study and found that 85% of all the soil samples across the country, didn't matter where, were depleted of nutrients that they had 100 years, 50 years ago. The other countries, you can see, the best one to get fruits from right now, if you're going to do it, is Australia. It's only half depleted. We're almost 100% depleted. So we have two choices for buying food. We can go to a health food store where you get food picked green without pesticides, or you can go to a regular grocery store and get food picked green with pesticides. Neither one really is a good choice, but A is obviously better than B. And so what I prefer is a third alternative, and that's a health food store where you know where the food's coming from, and it's picked when it's ripe and delivered to the store within days of being picked, not weeks. Like it takes us to get tomatoes and bananas from California. It takes at least 2 weeks before, and travel almost 1,400 miles from where they're picked to they're on my table. So that is a good choice for food. And if you can't do that, then you supplement. Okay? So let's talk just for a minute about vitamin depletion. If you don't have proper nutrition in the food that we eat, look at this, vitamin B2, you get dizziness and insomnia. B6, headaches. Selenium, you get fatigue. Calcium, you get hyperactivity and high blood pressure. And copper, you get allergies and anxiety. It's pretty significant. All right. Now, if you take drugs, and I'm not talking about hard drugs. I'm talking about things like aspirin or birth control pills or antacids. Look at the common medications that are on the market today and what their side effects are in terms of nutrient depletion. And when you don't have these nutrients, these vitamins and minerals are antioxidants that the body needs to replenish, rejuvenate, and repair. Aspirin, you have a deficiency in B6, B2, vitamins C and D, folic acid, iron, and potassium. That's a lot. Birth control pills, most of the B vitamins, vitamin C, calcium, folic acid, magnesium, and zinc, and antacids. You wouldn't think antacids would hurt us because, like Deanna says, if you go to the grocery store and you just assume because it's on a shelf it's safe. Well, they wouldn't sell antacids if they were safe, would they? Or wouldn't that aren't safe, would they? But with antacids, you get a B1, vitamin A, copper, folic acid, iron, and phosphorus deficiency. And of course, these antioxidants are very important to prevent disease. Okay? Now, as a baby boomer, I have to agree, we don't want to grow old. That's why I say I want to die young at an old age. So anti-aging medicine starts with a metabolic approach to nutrition, diet, exercise, supplementation, and detoxing. If you can't eat properly, drink properly, breathe properly, you need to remove all of those toxins. So again, these two women are approximately the same age. So which life do you want to design? I definitely want to be like the person on the right. I want to die young at an old age. Okay? So, how do you pick a good supplement? Well, fortunately, we have a company that looks at the scientific approach to disease. They look at the studies. We pick the right ingredients. I will tell you, when you simulate the contents of the stomach, our optimals dissolve completely, 100%, in less than 20 minutes. That's well within the time that things stay in our stomach so that they begin to be absorbed immediately. Some of the other brands, like my son-in-law said, your daughter told me a story about you doing something with vitamins. Let's check out my vitamin. I said, okay. He says, I have a vitamin that's the number one recommended vitamin by pediatricians, Flintstones. For the record, I never recommended Flintstones because I didn't think it was a good vitamin. At the end of 4 days, it still was sitting in the bottom of the jar. It never dissolved. So why take a supplement that's not good? You want a supplement that actually, we know what it does, we know the ingredients, and these are plant-based ingredients. Remember, I say never eat anything that a plant hasn't eaten first. So these are good for us. So we have to pick good supplements. So is a supplement safe to take? That's important. Some supplements that are not produced under good manufacturing practices have either too little or too much of whatever the ingredient they say is on the label. Every lot number of every product that RX produces is the same. We know exactly what goes in and comes out, and our supplements are safe to take. Does the supplement get absorbed? Well, I just told you how well our vitamins and minerals get absorbed. Are there proven health benefits? The FDA doesn't look at those because they would consider this a drug trial. And, of course, vitamins are not drugs, right? They may be pretty soon because the FDA wants to classify anything that we eat or take as a supplement that causes a health benefit, a proven health benefit, is a drug, and they control all drugs. As a matter of fact, the FDA and the AMA now control obesity as of yesterday, so that we can't say we can cure obesity because that's a drug claim. But I can certainly tell you that we can change the set point for fat storage by our SlenderX protocol. So you want to supplement. If you can't get it through your food, you want to supplement that has proven health benefits. Okay. Companies that you want to get a company that does test for contaminants. They'll reject as much as 30% of the ingredients, and all of our products are tested. All right. This is one of my favorite slides. This is an X-ray of a vitamin pill that's almost ready to come out the other end. Does it look like it's dissolved to you and doing its job, giving the body back the nutrients that it needs? So the slide says if you pay $30 but are only absorbing 10%, you're wasting $27. Recently, I had a woman who told me that after, we tested her vitamin and it never dissolved. And she said, well, it's a fresh bottle. So when I'm done with the bottle, I will talk to you about your recommendations for a vitamin. So why would you want to do that if it's coming out the other end exactly the same way as it went in, including the name? If nothing gets absorbed, it actually might make you sick by not getting the nutrients that you actually do need. So, are there proven health benefits? If you're not taking a product that is proven effective, what kind of product are you taking? There are 1,800 supplement companies out there. The majority of them are not good manufacturing practice companies like RX is. So their products are not good. So I know that some of you have seen these. This is what makes good manufacturing practices. I'm not going to read these to you, but you can see what goes into. You take something like a peanut. What's the benefit of a peanut? Well, peanuts have certain fats. They have certain antioxidants. They have certain nutrients in them, but it's a raw ingredient, and each raw ingredient has to match certain standards. We do that. Okay. So here's some more. These are important. Some antioxidants are important to take together because they are what are called synergistic antioxidants. One makes the next one better. So these 5 antioxidants are networked: glutathione, alpha-lipoic acid, CoQ10, vitamin C, vitamin E. That's important. And what does it mean to be networked? All of them, when they work together, are better than each one working individually. That's what network means. That's a synergistic, okay? So if you ask a health professional about which antioxidants are important to consume each day, answers are varied, but most will agree that A, D, E, C, ubiquinol, which is CoQ10, fish oil, resveratrol, which is that wonderful heart antioxidant that's in red wine, quercetin, NAC, selenium, glutathione. These are all important. And if you were to just take these and order them on the internet, it's almost $200 just to get each individual ingredient. But you can do it considerably less by using products that we have. Okay? So, I take a few supplements from a company that produces them from a whole food source under good manufacturing practices, and they're fully absorbed. And I know that the supplements that I take have been shown to benefit my health and wellness, as well as other individuals that I work with. And a significant added benefit is that I also get many more antioxidants and nutrients along with the ones I previously mentioned. So I'm getting all the good stuff. I tell my students that taking a vitamin won't make you feel more energetic. What it does is it allows your body to make more energy, so you're more energetic. So again, you want to be careful with what you put in your mouth. So, I spent some time talking about antioxidants and toxins. There's a relationship between the two because the antioxidants will help negate the effects of the toxins. But the best way to do it is to either not take the toxins in to begin with, or to detox yourself by using a proper preparation. So we talked about RestoreX, which is excellent for detox based on protocols in Europe and the ingredients that are in there. We talked a little bit about antioxidants. Rejuvenex is a wonderful one. Our Optimal's another one. Banali is vitamin C in a pure form, which is good. Not only is it ascorbic acid, but it's all the assorted molecules that make ascorbic acid active. Not like when you stand in the line at Walmart and you see a little tube of orange things that says that ascorbic acid is a good source of vitamin C. It is, but it's biologically inactive vitamin C because it's not been eaten by a plant and you don't have the assorted molecules that make it active. So, again, we've got good products. And Donna, that basically is a very quick overview of toxins, a little bit about disease, and antioxidants and how to present it.
Well, Dr. Organ, I don't know about brief. That was wonderful. There was just so much content in there, and I'm sure each and every one of us just learned so much from that presentation. Thank you. It was very thorough, and really appreciate you taking the time as well to start the presentation so we could get rid of that noise, because I know that I'm sure, as I was, everybody was hanging on every word and really valued you sharing that with us. So thank you again. Thank you so much for your time. And what I would really encourage everyone to do, I know I'll certainly be doing it myself, is to share this information with everyone I know, because that really is going to give people the ability to be able to take control of their health and really then be able to thrive. And so what you've shared with us tonight is that exposure from toxins and is very important to reduce those threats, and how by incorporating RX products we can help not only ourselves but those we love lead healthier lives and thrive. And it is about, we don't age, get sick, and get diseases. Our cells do, and our body's health is dependent on the health of each and every one of our cells to slow down aging, to reduce sickness and diseases. So we must protect ourselves from exposure to damaging toxins. So again, thank you so much, Dr. Organ. It was such an incredibly valuable presentation, and I know each and every one of us really do appreciate you and value what you shared with us this evening.
My pleasure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and end the call this evening. And don't forget to check the RX calendar at rxreps.com for updates on all the up-and-coming calls. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week on our next Healthy Body presentation. We will have another incredible ambassador for health and wellness sharing their knowledge and inspiring everyone to unleash their human potential for good. Thank you again, Dr. Organ. Good night, everyone.
Good night.